Hey everybody, today we're going to work on the TH sounds, the bane of so many learners of English, the th and the. Let's get started. So the TH sound, th and the. Let's get warmed up with a little tongue twister. Try it out here. Tom threw Tim these 3 thumbtacks there. Hope that wasn't too hard. And let's get into it, but first we have to figure out the difference between these two sounds, these two TH sounds. And what we need to figure out is the idea of voicing. So to feel that, just touch your neck and say the consonants reading from the left to right. S, z, p, b, t, d, k, g. So hopefully you found the difference there between the unvoiced and voiced consonants. The voiced ones have a little bit of vibration going on in your neck. You should feel that, especially on the z sound. You should feel a little bit of vibration there, and we have the same thing between the two TH sounds. So with the unvoiced and the voiced, the unvoiced sounds like th. The voice sounds like th. It's hard to tell, unfortunately, in English, because these are spelled the same, which one you're going to encounter when you encounter a new word. But there are a couple general groups that you can find. So there are a lot of unvoiced TH sounds, the th, in really common nouns and adjectives like thin, thistle, wreath, or at least, if not common, kind of older, more traditional, everyday words. We also have them in a lot of Greek-derived academic words, anathema, ornithology. There are a lot of thologies, pathology, and some other ones that you'll see this unvoiced TH. And then we have it at the end of all of our ordinal numbers, or at least most of our ordinal numbers. 7th, 10th, 176th, that's an unvoiced TH. On the voiced side, we have all of our function words, all of these little grammatical function words. These, that, the, those, there, thither, and others. We also have a handful of family words that are easy to keep in mind. Mother, brother, father. And then we have a lot of verbs, especially verbs that end with a the sound. Breathe, bathe, sheathe, and then other verbs like bother, a handful of others. So this isn't 100% the way to tell which sound it's going to make, but you can be aware of these groups and you'll be able to spot a good majority of English words grouped into these two categories that use the TH sound. So next we need to talk about how we make the sound. So you probably know the second point here that you're putting the tongue slightly between the teeth. You don't need to stick it all the way out. That can be good for practice, but it's not totally necessary. Just stick it between the teeth a little bit. You're also going to round or pucker your lips slightly. You can see the picture on the right there. You can see the lips coming together a little bit, kind of like you're saying an vowel. And that kind of helps with the shape of the shape of the consonant. And then the last important point, you can kind of see it in both pictures. You need to leave a small opening in the very center so the air can get through. The air is going to come up over your tongue and down the middle of your tongue. You can see on the right there, you can see I have a little bit of space between my tongue and upper teeth in the middle so that we can get a little bit of sound coming through. Okay, so let's take a closer look at these sounds. Our first one is the voiceless TH sound. That's our th, th. You can see here, I'm rounding my lips a little bit, and then I'm sticking my tongue out a little bit, and you can see just a little space between my tongue and upper teeth. Let's hear it in some words. Thin, thistle, anathema, 7th. All right, we can also try out the voiced TH. you're going to notice it looks pretty similar to the voiceless. So we'll have slightly rounded lips, we'll have tongue protruding slightly between the teeth, and a little bit of space between the teeth and the tongue to let the air through and the sound through. That's our the. Let's hear it in some words. These, their, brother, bathe. Okay, hope that helped. Let's move on to some exercises. Alright, so let's move on to testing your perception, and then we'll talk about how to work on your own pronunciation. So, I'll read through, I'll choose either A or B for each of these, and I'll say the word, and you make note of which one you hear. Right? These. Thin. Tinker. Mouth. Doze. Closing. Math. Dough. Thanks. Sigh. Alright. How'd you do? Bet you did alright. So you'll notice that I was comparing these not only between the voiced and voiceless, but I think the most common problem speakers have is mixing the TH sounds either with the S and Z or the T and D sounds. So I want to make those clear. So this is a good way to get started in the pronunciation teaching process, is to test perception and listening skills and then move on to speaking skills. So I'd like you to do the same thing. Unfortunately, I won't be able to hear you, but as you're choosing one of these, try to tell, do you think a listener would guess correctly listening to you? So pause it and read through them and give them a try. Okay, now that you're done, we'll move on to how to work on this. So a great progression to do with these kinds of consonant issues is to start with short, focused speech, one word at a time, really getting the sound clear and accurate. So you just go one word at a time. The, those, rather, smooth, thicker, thimble, mathematics, broth. So practicing individual words will help build that awareness from the beginning. Then you'll want to move on to longer focused speech. You can think of these as kind of light tongue twisters. They're not really hard to say, but they'll have a lot of examples of the target sound that you're working on. So for example, these mothers are taller than those. A thick broth from an ethnic recipe. So we have a couple examples in there, a little bit of contrast to work with, but it's still pretty focused. The next step that I like to do when working with students working on this kind of thing is move on to what's called focused free speech. These are open-ended prompts that target a specific pronunciation aspect, in this case the TH. So the goal is to take this prompt and then talk for 30 seconds or so answering it, but keeping in mind this target and working to improve it. So an example, what is an ethical problem you've encountered lately? Why was it an ethical problem? In that case, the answer will hopefully bring up the word ethical several times and maybe some other target words, definitely some function, the, these, those, that words as well. Another example, describe each member of your immediate family. Hopefully there will be a father, mother, and brother in there, and probably some other TH function words. So getting practice with these in a spontaneous speech situation is a good way to get to that next step. instead of just reading, speaking a little more extemporaneously. The big problem a lot of you are probably having is you don't have anyone around to give you feedback. So, or you don't have anyone around enough to give you feedback. Maybe you want to practice a lot, and people with good, who can give good feedback, aren't willing to spend hours and hours and hours with you. So, a couple good things you can do: you can record yourself and listen back to it. There's a good chance that you think you're pronouncing it differently than you actually are, and this is a great way to get started with that. You can also use an automatic speech recognizer. So Google Speech, if you go to Google, you can click on the microphone on the search bar to have it recognize your speech and try to send you where it thinks you're going. It's kind of up and down, but if you are really accurate, it should be able to understand you, and if you're pretty inaccurate, it probably won't understand you. There's other dictation software out there. There's a lot. I'm not that familiar with all of it, but you can try it out and see how it works for you. See if that's a good way to get feedback on your pronunciation. Another good thing to do is visualize your pronunciation with Prot. I have the link up here. It's a free piece of software. There are some other visualization pieces of software out there, but Prot is definitely the most accessible and the most powerful in terms of what kind of stuff it can tell you. So here's kind of a basic overview of me pronouncing several words with the TH and contrasting consonants. So we have thigh. You can see the TH sound there. It's a little soft. By the way, this is showing volume. So you can see this is pretty soft. The S sound is a lot louder. And then the T sound starts loud, gets soft. So we can see pretty big differences between those consonants. If you record yourself and visualize it, you can see pretty big differences in consonants. Here we have the bathe. The consonant here is relatively soft, relatively smooth. Bays is a little more erratic. It kind of goes down and up. And then bade has a whole dropped out section because it's a stop. So playing around with Prot and looking at exactly what your consonants look like can also be another good way to deal with a lack of feedback that you have. So that's the TH sound. So we got through some visuals, we got through some exercises and some feedback option. I hope this helps. Please be in contact with us if there's anything else that you would like to see us do. If there's anything you like or don't like about these videos or the rest of the materials on this Padlet, please let us know, and good luck.